Hi guys, welcome to yet another exciting video, and today we are going to be making some delicious breakfast items. And first on the list, I'm going to be making some delicious oven baked donut pancakes. And this is a very simple recipe. It only takes a very little amount of time to prepare, because all you need to do is mix all your pancake ingredients in your blender and blend away. How simple is that? So this is a very simple recipe that you can literally make even on your late mornings. It takes about 10 minutes to prep the ingredients and let's say 15 to 20 minutes in the oven. So within 30 minutes, you'll be having your breakfast. And especially now that kids are almost breaking for school holidays, this will be a very exciting change to the usual bread. I know most of us use bread for breakfast. So once in a while, we can always spice things up. I mean, it's a very simple recipe and it's so easy to make. It's definitely worth trying.
My friend nostalgia, I found you when I heard the sweet sound of the ones who I once knew so well. In a voice memo from years ago, we were laughing about some nonsense. Oh, how I miss those friends. Circumstances made it so that I'll never see their faces, except for on the internet, where I'll never really know what's going on.
Let me share out a simple hack that I normally use whenever I'm working with butter that is running in consistency. So get an old bottle, an old plastic bottle, basically wash it and let it dry, and then I line it with some vegetable oil, just so that the butter does not stick inside and dry. Yeah, so I use it to pour out butter, and it's very effective because it gives neatness. Plus you can always store your remaining butter in the fridge with the bottle. Just make sure that it is airtight.
I guess I could check in once in a while.
Now this will go into the oven at 180 degrees for about 20 minutes. So this is how our oven baked pancake donuts turned out. Next, let's bake a delicious orange flavored cake. And with this cake, I'll be using the traditional method of baking a cake. Yeah, so we mixed our flour with some baking powder, and then we're going to set it aside.
But best friends are growing up, and there's no time for us to pretend we'd stay in touch, 'cause everybody...
In another bowl, I'm going to be mixing margarine with sugar, and I'll beat it until it turns creamy white. So make sure you put a damp cloth below the mixing bowl so that it does not move around while you're beating it.
And I wanna tell the reason why I'll never get to see them, but clearly they don't need to know.
Now let's get to the real mixing. We're going to set our bowl side to side. With every egg you add, make sure you also add some flour so that the egg does not break the margarine. We're going to keep on adding the flour to the egg mixture until we are done, and then we'll start adding the milk slowly by slowly until we have the desired dropping consistency.
Still on my phone, I look back at the pictures and I reminisce when I'm alone. To keep myself from forgetting. Will we ever meet again on this side of heaven? Those friends are growing up, and there's no time for us to pretend we'd stay in touch. 'Cause everybody knows it will never be the same. We move on and people change. Yeah, those friends are growing up.
Now it's time to add flavor, and we're going to use our freshly squeezed orange juice. You can also use the commercial flavors, but I prefer the freshly squeezed orange juice. I'm also going to be adding our grated orange rind just for the extra flavors. I've already prepped our baking tin. I lined it with some margarine and dusted some flour on it. Now we are going to pour our cake batter into it.
It will never be the same. We move on and people change. Yeah, those friends are growing up. My friend nostalgia, I found you when I heard the sweet sound of the ones who.
So we're going to bake this at 180 degrees for 30 minutes. So our cake was trying to do the most, but I think I caught it in time. And now we're just going to pour the rest of the orange juice on it. Make sure you're pouring it while the cake is still hot so that it can absorb all the flavors of the orange juice and retain it. So we're just going to let it cool down before we take it out of the tin.
I once knew so well. In a voice memo from years ago, we were laughing about some nonsense. Oh, how I miss those friends. Circumstances made it so that I'll never see their faces. Except
On to our breakfast item number 3. We are going to be making some pan-fried potatoes with capsicum. So peel the potatoes and wash them thoroughly.
on the internet, where I'll never really know what's going on behind their smiles. I mean, I guess I could check in once in a while. But those friends are growing up, and there's no time for us to pretend we'd stay in touch. 'Cause everybody knows it will never be the same. We move on and people change. Yeah, those friends are growing up, and I wanna.
Then we're going to cut them into small cubes and boil them for about 10 minutes.
Tell the reason why I'll never get to see them, but clearly they don't need to know. Still on my phone, I look back at the pictures and I reminisce when
Meanwhile, let's dice some capsicum. I'm using the yellow and the red capsicums.
I'm alone to keep myself from forgetting. Will we ever meet again on this side of heaven? Those friends are growing up, and there's no time for us to pretend we'd stay in touch.
I'm also going to be cutting the onions. I always prefer having my onions visible in the food, so I always cut them in bigger sizes.
Everybody knows it will never be the same. We move on and people change. Yeah, those friends are going.
And before they change color, I'll quickly add our pre-boiled potatoes. So now we're going to toss it a little bit and then we're going to let it sit. But before that, I'm going to add some spices and I'm using paprika. I'm also using curry powder with a little bit of salt, and then later on I'll add black pepper. So from here we're just going to let it sit and let the potatoes roast before we add our coriander at the end of the cooking period. Oh my gosh, it looks so beautiful. All the beautiful colors. It's so flavorful, so delicious. Now on to the fourth and the last breakfast item on our list today is Hamri. And I'm going to cook the traditional Hamris, whereby we only have 4 ingredients, and that is flour, sugar, yeast, and cardamom. Another ingredient you can use for traditional mahamris is the coconut milk. I didn't have the fresh coconut milk, and that is what I like using. So we're just going to do with the 4 ingredients. So we're just gonna mix everything together and add some hot water. Note, with mahamri you have to use hot water so that you can activate the yeast. And that's the reason why I'm using a cooking stick, because the mixture is already too hot to handle. Now with mahamri dough, you have to mix it for at least 15 minutes until it's soft. That's depending on the size of the dough. With ours, it's a small dough, so I'm going to be kneading it for approximately 10 minutes and then add some warm oil. Before I proceed mixing again, mix until it's extremely soft. Now we're going to set the dough in a bowl, and then we're going to cover it and leave it in a warm place. Remember to cover the dough with some oil so that it does not form a hard crust on top.
Everybody knows it will never be the same. We move on and people change. Yeah, those friends are growing up.
30 minutes later, the dough has risen well, and we're going to punch it to get rid of excess air. And then we're going to roll it on a flat surface and divide it into smaller pieces. And then we are going to roll them into small balls.
Hold me close till I get.
After that, we're going to roll each ball out into flat circles, and then we're going to cut it into quarters.
Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And
We let it set for about 10 minutes before we start frying them in hot oil. Make sure both sides turn brown before you remove them.
We'll go through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go through the wastelands, through the highways.
Yeah, so we are done. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning into this video. See you next time. Bye.